Next चौपाई। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। And whoever comes to you with a kamna, a manorath, a desire, has his wishes fulfilled beyond expectations in his life. On whomsoever you have your grace, such a living being gets the fruit immediately, the fruit of which the creation cannot even think about it. All his desires are fulfilled. Sri Hanuman was able to accomplish all the tasks assigned to him by the Lord Rama himself. So, if he can carry out the Lord's tasks, why can't he accomplish ours? Goswami Tulasidas ji wants to explain through this chaupai that God gives us fruits in life according to the wishes we have. We should pray to God that the desire of our mind be divine and grand, so that the results which we get by the grace of God is stunning. The mind has a unique, extraordinary place in human life. If a man's mind is disturbed even a little, then he experiences restlessness and agitation. The mind should be made powerful, cultured, stable, and resolute. The mind has such a unique, extraordinary place in human life that no one can deny it. The mind has amazing power. The inexhaustible memory of the samskaras are stored in our chitta, a part of the mind. Not only of this birth, but the memory of the sanskaras of birth after birth are stored in our chitta. Desires and resolutions created in the mind play a big role in making our life. Our whole life is made of determination and desires. Therefore, it is necessary that our desires should be pleasing to God and pleasing to our Guru, to sages. How should ambitions and desires be? Desire to become very important means ambition. Today, the word ambition has become very ordinary and cheap. That is why the sage warns of a human being's mind and says, a jiva says, I do not know where my mind is. My mind is not in my hands. It is to be observed that as long as the body is alive, the mind cannot be purified by dissecting the body by any doctor, and on death the mind leaves the body. Therefore, the doctor is incapable to touch the mind even upon a jiva's death. There is a mind, there is no doubt about it. Not only this, 3/4 part of our life is run by this mind. When a person dies, the 5 sense organs, the 5 organs of action, the 5 vital organs, the mind and the intellect. The 17 elements leave the body. It is 19 if the mind and intellect, manas and buddhi, are further classified as manas, buddhi and chitta ahankara. Tulsidas ji explains to us in this chaupai that we should keep the thoughts of the mind high. Our desires should be good, and the higher our desires, the higher we will get the fruit of our desires. That is why one should try to move towards the path of devotion or wisdom with high determination, conviction, mumukshatva. Brother Sundar while talking on this chaupai says, he says, जो कोई लाए is literal meaning is bringing. Lae or lave is bringing. But Sundar says it is not to be limited to bringing or taking our mind to the Lord, but it should be the lae or lave should be understood as offering, not bringing. And Manorath, he says, a superfluous mind, it can be referred as desire. But actually, Manorath, the Ratha, the chariot of the mind, as such is being offered to Hanuman, to the divine. It means not only the desire, the entire chariot of the mind, the total mind. Hayena vacha manasa indriyatva. He takes an example of an object, a car. Let us take one desire. I desire a Range Rover. He says, and then he explains that for the very fulfillment of the desire itself, of the desire of owning, owning a Range Rover, the desire for the fulfillment, he says the desire itself becomes an obstacle. Strange, he explains. If I really want a Range Rover and I don't have resources to buy one, then if and only if, whenever I see a Range Rover on the highway, by seeing the Range Rover, if my heart is filled with happiness, it is fine. That desire is not harmful. Like Krishnanandaji Maharaj says, when we see a beautiful flower, why can't we let that flower be where it is and just enjoy the beauty, the fragrance of the flower from a distance? This flower or an object or a Range Rover, this represents the entire creation, everything about the creation. Why do we want to own anything in the creation? Why can't we just enjoy the beauty of creation without touching it, without trying to grab it? All problems arise only when we want to possess, and we just do not stop by just enjoying it wherever it is, like the flower. Let it be there, spreading the fragrance to everyone as it is spreading the fragrance, and it is a beauty, a joy for me. Let it be joy for everyone who come to see that flower. Why should I be selfish to grab it and to keep it for myself? So what happens when we really want to grab? What is the thought process? When I see that Range Rover, actually I am not happy because I am not owning it. Some other local person is driving. So actually, in a subtle way, Sundar says, I am not focusing on the Range Rover, but I am focusing on my want, my wanting, my craving for that car. So I am not focusing on the car, but I am worried and I am focusing on my lacking or my not owning that car. And he says, you keep on wanting a thing, the universe will keeps you waiting and waiting for that want to be fulfilled. So, only the Manorath, when we offer our mind, where all the desires or the wants sprout, that Manorath, that mind itself, if we keep at the lotus feet of God, then what happens? Our mind itself is cleansed, rendered pure. And he goes on to take the quote of Swami, I want peace, where Swami says, in simplest expression, remove the I, remove the want, what remains is peace. It is not so simple, brothers and sisters. The I is the ego, the want, the I. The I is the subtler than the want itself. The I, ego, the jivahood must go. Once the I goes, there is no deliberation or there is no effort to let go the want. Who is there to want? The jiva is gone. The ego is gone. The I is gone. The want goes automatically. What remains has to be peace because there is no ego. Bringing this I want peace to this I want this car, from this remove the I, ego. Then that wanting, focusing on that wanting is gone because the jiva who is focusing the I, lower ego, that itself is not there. So the want is not there. Then you can still enjoy the car wherever it is seen without the prefix of I want. The I ego is gone, the want is gone, the focus on want. The focusing person is gone, the focus is gone, only the object is remain. A thing of beauty is a joy forever for eyes. You enjoy the car, you enjoy the flower without the process of I want the flower, I want the nature. See, I want peace seems to me so simple. It takes several births to let go the I, and then goes the want, leaves the want. Once you have surrendered the manorath, the mind, along with the chitta, ahankar and buddhi to God, then what gives God gives in return, so he amit jeevan phal paave. Amit here is Amrit. In this world, to fulfill different desires, you have to employ different means. A single means is not enough to give you the happiness of everything. Because your want changes, your focus changes it, the want from one object to another, another to the third, third to the fourth. In your current state as a jiva with I, if you have one pleasure, you cannot have another pleasure at the same time. And if you want to have a third kind of pleasure, the first two must go. Even if your mind is at the grossest level, brothers and sisters, test this. You cannot have two desires at the same time. At intense level, you can think of only one desire at one point of time. Therefore, your senses do not give you simultaneous knowledge of everything. When one thing is happening, another thing is forgotten. But in the context of surrendering our manorath to God and staying focused only on the pure essence Call it by any name, Atman, Brahman, Bhagavan, Ishvara. In this process, only and only in this God attainment, there is simultaneous knowledge of all things. At one stroke, everything is known and everything is enjoyed. How it is enjoyed, we will come to it later in a while. It is not merely possessing a kingdom that may look as a happiness which is sudden and simultaneous. A king who is the ruler of this whole world may imagine that he has simultaneous happiness of the entire kingdom of the earth. The entire earth is mine, the king may feel, but the entire earth still stands outside the 2 feet of earth on which the king stands. The experiencing consciousness of the king does not hold under his grip or possession this vast earth that he considers as the means of his satisfaction. So the king's happiness is futile, imaginary pleasure. We are all like that king. The world stands outside us. How can we enjoy the fulfillment of all things in the entire world put together simultaneously at one point of time? Because the entire world is outside us, nothing is inside us. Therefore, in the context of leaving our manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, or not leaving, offering manorat, lave, offering our buddhi, manas at this lotus feet and leading a spiritual life with only one desire for moksha, desire for liberation. A day in our life comes, yes, it must come, when amit phal paave, when with the fulfillment of this one desire, liberation or freedom, where we experiencing God or self within, there are no more desires waiting in sequence to be approached and attacked by us one after the other. In simple language, when we attain God realization, when that one desire of moksha is fulfilled, there are nothing, no possibility of any desire and no possibility of any object in the creation outside us. Everything gets folded unto us. Everything is within us. In human life, we have desires in sequence. Okay, when one desire arises, it is only that desire. We crave for some object to fulfill our want, our desire. We may or we may not get the desired object and the desired fulfillment on attaining the object. Suppose we think we have attained the fulfillment on attaining an object we desired, the fulfillment is ought to be temporary, because the propensity or the power in that object to satisfy us, that propensity or the power in that object itself is temporary or limited, then how can it give us permanent fulfillment? So we jump to the second desire, to the third desire, to the fourth desire, and it goes on and on. Whereas when the desire for liberation is fulfilled, then at the plenum of our that existence, there cannot be any sequence of desires. It is so in this, since there are no more desires left out, can we say, or may we say, that all our desires are fulfilled? Amit phala pave, because if any desire of mine is still not fulfilled, it must surface in my mind. I have no desire surfacing in now. That therefore, all my desires, beauty of beauty, wonder of wonder, all my desires as though are fulfilled at once. And one more subtlest revelation. Even when we are desiring all mundane, stupid things in life, the manorath or the mind is actually desiring for liberation only. How? Of course, when we desire for worldly level things, we can never ever realize this. But if you believe in his words, if he has gone through all these stages, then you can be convinced when he says that even when we are desiring the worldly things, actually we are desiring freedom, moksha. How? Because in whatever object we seek fulfillment, we want fulfillment, it is never that we have ever, right from the doll from with which we played in our childhood, to the cricket game which we wanted to win as a batsman, to the infatuation, first infatuation in which we got into, and endless desires, have we ever said that in each of those desires, when we were pursuing that desire, have we ever said that I want only 10% fulfillment in the desire? No. Come to think of it, in each desire we have wanted 100% fulfillment, which we never got. That means the secret lies here. When we have desired 100% fulfillment in any stupid desire, leave alone the object, leave alone the desire, leave alone whatever useless experiences we went through. But in that secret, our wanting 100% fulfillment, actually we have been craving for liberation. None of the book will give this secret. Maybe, at least he has not read. So each desire is pushing us towards God ultimately, and there the God must fulfill our desire for ultimate fulfillment. One day or the other, where none of the worldly objects have stood the test of giving us the full 100% eternal fulfillment, then we look towards him. Love of God session. Those who remember, go back to what he said. That moment comes in our life when we are sick and tired of these worldly objects, worldly relations, worldly pursuits, and we look towards God. We don't know what our look means. God understands. He understands that we are looking for Him, for merging with Him, for attaining Him, nothing less than attaining. And He ultimately, at the height of our tapas, our intense tapas, He fulfills by granting us the deathless Amrit experience, self experience, Amrit Phala. Upon surrendering our mind, call it surrender in bhakti or self surrender in jnana, with our mind gone and our divine consciousness shining forth, we move from mrityu, the death of our body, to amitfal, to amritam, deathlessness of ourself. Like it was explained in the wave ocean session, where the wave jiva ultimately realizes that it was never a wave, the jiva was never this body, and it has been all through the same water Atman self, which is never born, never is there a need to sustain the Atman for some time, like the wave sustains itself for some time, and that the way I, as the water, never will die, though me, the body, the wave, may hit the shore and perish. Therefore, with that one desire, offering at His lotus feet and engaging in endless single pointed devotion or Shavana Manana Nividhyasana, without even counting days and without even keeping this particular desire of liberation in mind, when the desire for liberation is also transcended, the liberation happens at that point of time. That very point of time. Timeless time. Our only dharma in as jiva is to go through the process of single pointed devotion or go through the process of Shavana Manana Nividhyasana. The task of giving us the Amit Phala is of the Lord, Hanuman, God, or Brahman, or pure consciousness. Or Shri Ram, Sai. What a beautiful chaupai. और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे. Never for a moment after listening to this talk and contemplating on this essence, never misunderstand this chaupai as if I go with any manokamana, any desire to God, He will fulfill my desire. No. Only desire for freedom, for moksha, where all other desires get folded, merged into that one huge desire, and upon fulfillment of that desire, upon attainment of liberation, in the way, very subtle way explained in this talk, maybe 2-3 times you will have to listen, then it will be clear when you jot down the points. Yes, all my desires apparently have got fulfilled because I don't have any desire left over to say it is yet to be fulfilled. All the desires are fulfilled at once because you stand at that plenum of Satchit Ananda state where it is complete, whole, Purnam, complete fulfillment, complete, pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. Where you can say there are no desires, or you can say, oh yes, all the desires on this earth, possible earth, are all fulfilled and upon fulfillment transcended. Now nothing is left anymore. What do I say? Jai Shri Ram, Jai Sai Ram, Jai Bolo Bajrang Bali ki Jai.